And welcome to The Locker Room. I'm Gary Bailey, sitting in for Kay Murray, and what a great show we have for you tonight. So many talking points, of course. The great Zinedine Zidane. What is the impact on Real Madrid? Who replaces him? Where does he go? What's his legacy? Lots of talking points there. And, of course, what is Florentino Perez going to do in terms of getting a replacement? And then Paolo Guerrero he's been allowed, rather, to play for Peru in the World Cup. It's a massive boost for the Peruvians. We'll be looking at that. And why did FIFA or the courts suddenly change their decision? Great panel with me here today to talk us through all this. Ray, Dre, Phil and Thomas. Phil, let's start with you. You've followed Real Madrid for a long, long time. Why, people who don't know, why is Zidane leaving now? Is it a clever time to get out just now at the very, very top?
Well, in my mind, there's not much more for him to do. Because you think about it, you're looking at a Barcelona squad that might still be peaking, could get better, and finish nearly 20 points ahead of them this year, against a Real Madrid squad that's getting a little bit long in the tooth and might be torn apart in the transfer window anyway. So does he have to win a fourth European crown, or else it's a step backwards? I think that you're taking a look at Zinedine Zidane. He's done pretty much everything that has been asked of him. Now it's time for another challenge.
Thomas, has he let Real Madrid down by just walking out like this?
I'm not so sure. It reminds me a little bit of Sir Alex in 2013 when he knew this team had a massive rebuild as well, and he walked away at the right time as well. It's like Gary, selling your stock when it peaks. Yep. Knowing that your stock might go down as well. Zidane is sharp. He understands that Bale, Benzema, the BBC, somehow something's going to happen there. Isco now might stay, and something happens. He was impulsive. Let's be real honest. The red card against, what was his name again, Phil?
Materazzi.
Boom. Materazzi. I think this was something that got triggered real quick. It might have been a Bale, Ronaldo, Isco situation. With Perez, and he decided, you know what, it's time for me to move on and take the United States national team.
What?
Well,
it was
no,
only
that
a
might be for
matter of
another
time
day.
before MLS and the United national team. You're dreaming, Thomas.
Okay.
Nashville is looking for a coach. Cincinnati's looking for a coach.
Are you sad? The great Zidane
Of course,
leaving?
absolutely sad. I think everybody that follows football loses out by seeing Real Madrid without this guy. I've protected him, as Phil knows, through thick and thin, and there was some long knives, and it deserved criticism, a lot of it, made of greater stuff. He's left Real Madrid wanting more, and that's a great way to go out on top. He was masterful. I've said it before a million times. He's the perfect man for Real Madrid. How much is he going to carry on in that same management success with another team, Gary? Yeah. I'm not so sure that those pastures are laying out there for him, unless it's for France. And even the French coach now, Deschamps, says, he'll be the next boss.
Do you think maybe then, Dre, just picking up, he's been a little bit lucky that Real Madrid was the perfect job for him, and then he's looking at other jobs going, I don't know if I'm up to these?
I mean, that only works as far as actually getting the job in that first year. I think after 3 years and 3 consecutive Champions League trophies, we can't just talk about luck at this stage. Has there been some luck along the way? Every single champion, every single team that has accomplished these big things has had the bounce of the ball break their way from time to time. I'm simultaneously in awe of Zinedine Zidane and disappointed by his departure. I'm in awe of him because he was such a unique player. There may never be another one like him. He was such a unique manager these last 3 seasons. There might not be ever another like him in the history of Real Madrid. And really, you have to go back to Vicente del Bosque for the last manager that walked out through what they call in Spain the big door. There almost isn't a door big enough for Zidane to walk out through after the season.
And del Bosque won La Liga, by the way, that year.
And the Champions League.
Correct.
Before that. What I'm disappointed by is Zidane has clearly looked around. There were the comments by Gareth Bale afterwards, the comments by Cristiano Ronaldo afterwards. Both seemed to imply that they would be on their way out. He saw that they finished 17 points behind Barcelona this season, as Phil mentioned, that they were knocked out of the Copa by Leganés, and that a major rebuild is coming. And he said, I'm good. I've won enough here. I'm good. He talked about Sir Alex. Sir Alex built and rebuilt teams. That over a long, long time. Zidane has yet to prove he can rebuild the team, and I would have liked to have seen him
stepped
try.
away the same way.
Well, he took over a hell of a shipwreck, though, when he came in after Benitez.
He sprayed that Rafa Benitez disinfectant spray all over the Santiago Bernabeu.
And he readjusted Real Madrid and made them into the Spanish gun galleon, as I like to call them, that were absolutely unstoppable. He did the same thing as a player, Gary. I think it's worth pointing out. He walked away from the game under his terms. He said it. He says, it's not about the players. It's not about my president. It's not about my fans. He says the White House creates that expectation and we've lived up to it. But as a wonderful gesture, stepping away the way he has done for me, he's done it with typical Zinedine
Class,
Zidane
isn't it?
class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's about real quick, he took a huge gamble too. As a legend, Lampard didn't go back to his team. Gerrard didn't go back to his team. Maldini didn't go back to his team as a legend. He took that risk to fail maybe and also tarnish his playing reputation. So you know what? Big cojones for him.
At the biggest club in the world, the most demanding fans in the world, and he wore pressure like a Cartier diamond.
So where does he go to next, Phil? The US. I mean, Thomas, were you joking when you said US?
No,
He was. I'm looking after your son. Back away from the
He's got a high soccer IQ, so that's a possibility.
I think
out of order.
certain things for certain people, and he strikes me, I don't know him that well, as a guy that wants to take a gamble and stick his neck out, and also wants to do it his way, the way he did it at Madrid. And if you look at projects with club teams right now, why would he put himself in a situation where he has to build? And he has not proven that he can build, quite frankly, which he has to do in the US. Lifestyle is there, less pressure. Not the day-to-day coaching, and it would be ideal. Talk about being an icon. If he can get that team in 2026, I know it's 8 years from now, into a semifinals of the World Cup, he'd be bigger than what he did at
Hold
Real
on a
Madrid.
minute, am I hearing right? Is he still talking about the United States?
I am. Or David Beckham. Or David Beckham.
When Ruud Gullit came over, it didn't really work that well. You're talking about guys that
never did anything.
Well,
hang out at Chelsea once
that's
in a
to
while.
a point, but I'm
Come on.
talking about when you come to Major League Soccer, there's a little bit more coaching involved. You guys know about that. What Zinedine Zidane was a perfect man manager. He had the superstars. He kept them from killing each other and focusing in on a goal. I think the one area you look, perhaps, French national team, PSG, Juventus,
Marseille,
going back to, I don't know about Marseille at the moment. I was disappointed when he resigned as a player for one reason. We've talked about this as well. Play until they don't ask you to play anymore because you will never get another chance. As a manager, they manage into their 70s.
But that's not true, Phil. Not with men like him at that top of that footballing tree.
To choose how you walk away.
Exactly.
Especially in Real Madrid. How many players have walked away from Real Madrid
Who's
to the
ever
big...
walked away?
Raul didn't, and he's as big an icon as anyone. Fernando Hierro didn't. Iker Casillas didn't. Zidane managed that both as a player and as a manager. The one thing, though, I agree with Zidane that Real Madrid needed change. I mean, that's obvious from the past season, regardless of the Champions Leagues. But it wasn't a change in manager. That's not what was required. So it's true, yes, they needed some changes, but they were okay at manager. That was one place where they were perfectly fine.
Maybe he's not the manager to manage the changes that he needs, so maybe that's an issue.
Well, he's decided that at least, and I think it's because it's not a one-year thing. It's not, you're not coming back to see if you can win one more year. If it is a new project, then you're committed for 3 seasons, another 3 seasons, and that's maybe
it's a viper's nest right now. You need one more Galacticon. Perez will protect the brand, and you know what? Zidane looked back and goes, Ronaldo's not happy, Bale wants to go, Isco's this. You know what? I'm going to go out at the perfect time, quite frankly. They need a rebuild, and they need a new voice, and they need the right coach.
On this, Gary, for me, this man, when he came into the job, you would have thought, well, it's impossible for him to win the Champions League in his first year. Did it? He won the Champions League in the second year. Well, he couldn't. It's impossible for him to win La Liga as well. Did it?
He did it, yeah.
Okay, that's stretching it. The third Champions League with this team that was showing signs of strains, keeping that together. He made the impossible absolutely predictable.
Does he ever manage it
again?
I mean,
I
can
think
you
he
achieve
will.
those peaks?
But I think
France
is the only one. You've said that for a long time, Gary. That's
that's
the
the
only
one thing.
place he could get the landing spot, and he's got the talent pool, and he's got his legendary status. He'll have that ultimate respect that he got at Real Madrid.
Why are we assuming that once a manager achieves big things with a big club, that he'll never manage a slightly smaller club with slightly smaller intentions? I wouldn't rule that out. He's a young manager. He's only got 3 years of experience, and if he wants a different challenge, it's probably not going to be at a Bayern Munich or a Champions League contender. It may be a low M, for example, like you explained.
He's a different type of player. He's a different type of personality. He's a different type of footballing legend. He's Zinedine Zidane. It's the clubs that you can say that he'll go to is Marseille, where it's his first love. That one,
That's a big
if he
step
wants
down,
a
though,
reconstruction,
isn't it?
absolutely. But if he wants a reconstruction of a challenge, that's where he goes. It's France, the national team, guaranteed.
Okay, so we're sticking with that. We're sticking with that. It's not going to be US.
Beckham's Miami or the US national team.
Let's tell you about the Locker Room Awards. It's back as we pick out and decorate the season's best and put the votes out to you. Voting is now open on Twitter. Follow us at beIN Sports USA. We'll be releasing daily polls on different categories. And don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're going to tell you who we think, and there's 5 different ideas here, who's going to replace Zidane. There's a number of great choices. You've got to stay with us to find out who it's going to be. Welcome back. So now to the big question. Who replaces Zidane? I'm going to ask each of the guys here to be the agent for the person they think should be replacing Zidane. And you have to sell us on the concept. So, Ray, who is your man and why do you think we should all agree for him to take over Real Madrid?
It would be Argentina's Pochettino and Tottenham Hotspur's man. He's been a wonderful man at Newell's Old Boys as a player and, of course, with Espanyol. But his management skills have developed with each passing season. I don't think he leaves Spurs, but if he has the ambition that I think he has, this is the man that has it all. He's a great manager, Gary. He encourages. He demands and encourages players on all the right aspects, whether the mental game, the physical game, the technical game. And I think overall, the manner of his attacking style, his style of football, and he did this with his teams that he's had in England, and he showed that he can advance a team and be very, very careful with it. I think it'd be a marvellous appointment.
Is he a big enough name?
By
Come on,
18, you mean singular? 18 Tottenham?
Yeah.
Because I remember him at Espanyol and it wasn't as special in La Liga.
Exactly. I think in England he's really... And listen, I cannot let any cats out of the box here, but I've been told pretty well by good sources that I have that he is absolutely the man that they want. That's the one.
Is he a big enough name? Real Madrid?
You mean Pochettino?
Yeah.
Well, first, he signed a new deal. Secondly, there's a new big-time stadium coming. Thirdly, Levy's American. He's going to battle like no tomorrow, the owner of that team, to not let him go. And fourthly, if I don't know him Rock from a distance, he looks like a guy that might say, you know what, I owe something to this club with a new stadium and whatever. So I don't know if this is going to be
he's happy.
happening.
He's happy at Spurs, absolutely.
And what really has he won with a modest budget? Don't get me wrong. The playing style, believing in young players. But has he ever walked in the door, opened the door, and run into Ronaldo, Bale, and all these superstars?
He's got the cut of the
He's
jib,
kicked them
just
before.
like Zidane had. Everything that Zidane has, I see in Pochettino in the manner in which he manages.
Okay, Dre, who's your choice? And sell it to us.
This is not who it will be, but this is who it should be. And it should be Mauricio Sarri. And there's a ton of downsides, but because I'm his agent, I'm supposed to tell you the good stuff before I give you the downsides. You know, when you think about Real Madrid and Barcelona, there's always that sort of underlying mentality that, you know, Real Madrid are winners. They just constantly win year in, year out. And Barcelona play a really attractive brand of football. And I think Sarri would give Madrid a chance to turn that completely on its head while continuing to win trophies, also playing the best brand of football that we might see anywhere in Europe. Because Sarri did it at Empoli, and they played an attractive style, an effective style.
Yeah, lovely
Then he
team.
did it again at Napoli, and they played an attractive style. And with
Even
the fifth
better.
highest wage budget in all of Serie A, he had them competing for a Scudetto with the greatest Juve side that we've ever seen. Now you give that manager Real Madrid's resources, superstar players. You don't have to then, you know, drive your guys to the ground like you did at Napoli and Empoli for so many seasons. I think they can be both incredibly successful and the most entertaining football side to
Guys,
watch.
response?
From my mind, I love Sarri. I wish he would have gone to Arsenal. I would think that there's a project, but the problem is the wrong project for him would be Real Madrid. As we mentioned before in the last with Zinedine Zidane, there are so many egos involved. And we're talking about a guy who does not suffer egos well. They're gone. He gets rid of them, finds someone else who's willing to buy in. I don't think that's going to be the situation. I could see him more like even at Barcelona as a tactic-oriented team than at Real Madrid, where it's just superstars on parade.
One thing in his favor, it would just be the upside is really, really high. And the downside is for Real Madrid, he's absolutely disposable. You know, you're not bashing an old icon. You don't really need a reason to fire him. I mean, Zidane changes managers like we change socks, and Sarri would be an easily disposable and less expensive option to guys like Mauricio Pochettino.
Okay, so let's go to Phil. Now that we've had Sarri, and we're not really sold on that one.
Well,
Sorry,
you're not.
Dre.
Don't speak to the group, Gary.
I'm going to agree
who do you
with Andres for just a point in regards to a disposable manager, if you will. And that's someone that is available, no buyout clause needed, not that Florentino Perez is ever short of money, and someone that also has the pedigree. And while I've been banging on him for the last 6, 7 years that maybe it was time to move on from Arsenal, I think Arsene Wenger's sliding in.
Oh, that's rich.
He's
been saying Wenger out for how many seasons now?
But now you slide him in, and I have a feeling that this is the ego that actually would be able to handle the likes of a Ronaldo and a Bale.
He has that light touch, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
It's
kind of a little Ancelotti, a little Zidane with the Zen magic and stuff, but he has so much more talent at his disposal at Real Madrid than he has had at the Emirates.
He's just been chased out of Arsenal. Why would Real
Yeah, but
Madrid
Florentino has been chasing him his entire career.
Correct.
Absolutely. And also, you're only talking maybe a year or two, and maybe by then Pochettino's proven himself.
What do you reckon?
We have questioned here, regardless if we like him. He's the romantic choice, obviously. He plays good football, but has the game passed him by?
Yeah.
The last 4 years, the odd decisions he's made with player acquisitions, in playing style, sticking to a plan that doesn't work anymore in a modern game, not making the adjustments in big games a little bit. I'm not so sure if they want to go on a limb with a disposable guy and fail fairly quickly. So I would not go that way.
So tell me who you would go for.
I would go. Listen, we promoted. I talked to Perez. We promoted Zidane.
Oh, that is going to say himself.
So
promoting
Zidane was a masterstroke.
And?
Worked out. It was a gamble. So why not stay within the institution, which Barcelona, a lot of big clubs have done over the years. And Guti is a legendary Real Madrid player. 400 games. By the way, he's also an attacking midfielder like Zidane. And if you go to Real Madrid, you know what? The style is very important. The politics are the most. You walk into a viper's nest. Guti knows the culture. Guti knows defense. Guti knows the media. Guti can play, and Guti has proven over 4 years by winning quite a few trophies with the juvenile
he's won
A,
more.
I think they call it, which is one below, by the way, Zidane's B. Is it too big of a step? I would go that way because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Interesting.
And he can win, focus on La Liga and the Copa, which Madrid hasn't really done well in the last 7 or 8
local
years.
option. No one's mentioned Conte as well. There's another one. Quickly, because time's running out. I want to ask you, what happens to Bale and Ronaldo? Stay or go?
Ronaldo stays, Bale goes.
Ooh.
That's what I would think.
And he goes to where? Please
Man
say
United.
Man United.
They're going to break the bank to try to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we've also got a picture of Zidane just leaving. Yeah, he's leaving. I haven't seen it, so let's have a look what it is. It's him leaving the stadium and the area around the stadium.
Oh, lovely.
And,
what was it, 9 trophies, 10?
Yeah, how do you fit 9 trophies in that little box?
Correct.
I mean,
well, there are only a few big trophies.
But Phil, looking at it again,
He probably had to make a trek back.
He's got some legacy. In 3 years, what he has done, it's phenomenal.
No, and I know we were talking about this. This is the one point also. Does he need to manage again? I mean, they will be talking about what he's done over these 3 years forever. So in any way, if he goes somewhere else, you're still going to go down.
Yeah, 10 trophies, Trey. That's phenomenal. Who's ever going to match this in 3 years? It's almost impossible.
Well, not only who's going to match it, but who's going to match it in the way that he did. I mean, this is a manager who came in and told Cristiano Ronaldo, you need to sit down so we can prolong your season, prolong your career. When Cristiano was misfiring the first half of the season, he's the one who gave him the confidence, who managed his minutes. Second half of the year, Cristiano was arguably the best goal scorer in European football. So from a man management perspective, I don't think we've seen anything like Zidane since Vicente del Bosque, another guy who was so intimately associated with Real Madrid. I don't think they're going to be able to replicate this. But here's one place where I think I'll disagree with Ray.
Very quick.
Say that he can't replicate this somewhere else. I thought at first, man for the right job, maybe this is just the perfect Chia Pet. I'm not so sure anymore.
Okay.
Even his departure was so brilliantly calculated. I have faith.
Got to cut you off. Great chat.
I'm done now.
Don't forget to watch the Extra
Thanks,
every
Ray.
single weekday, 7 p.m. there, 4 p.m. on the Pacific Coast. And don't forget, after the break, we mentioned Paolo Guerrero. He's been cleared to play for Peru in the World Cup. Find out how it happened and what a difference he will make to the Peruvian side. What a great player he is. Perfect striker. So that's us coming up after the break. Make sure you don't miss it. Lots of discussion and debate around why FIFA and the courts have let Paolo Guerrero off the hook.
First to win.
This segment is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Yes, welcome back. And this is our international connection brought to you by Modelo Especial. And our focus today is on Paolo Guerrero. It's a tricky situation, Dre, coming to you with this because He was banned, and then the ban was cut short, then it was extended, and he's gone to the Swiss courts. And now, weeks before the World Cup, it's been undone. Does this, allowing him to play in the World Cup, does it suddenly open the door for other players to go, well, I'm sorry, I just took the wrong thing, but there's an excuse and I want to play next week?
Right. Yeah. Well, first of all, great for Peru. Secondly, smart from Guerrero to stay in Switzerland, to train in Switzerland in case this would happen. And I don't, to your concern that this now gives players a free pass to fail drug tests and still play in major tournaments, I don't think this is something you could repeat. This was so close to the World Cup itself. The court in Switzerland ruled that they'll stay the ban. CAS and those who impose the ban are saying that they won't challenge that stay. So many variables have to line up within the period of time before the tournament that I don't know that it's a blueprint for anybody else. It's just a very unique case and one that's worked out in Guerrero's favor.
But Ray, just looking at that, I mean, does it open up some slide door that, hang on a sec, Guerrero got off, so maybe I can get off?
Yeah, of course it will, but I think there's lessons to be learned for this, because Andrea just beautifully framed it. There was a lot of outrage in Peru, and they accepted this chemical metabolite that is taken through the tea is commonly used and can be actually linger in your body for a long, long time. You know, there may be lessons are to be learned from this, but there's certainly they've got to redefine and categorize what is acceptable and what is not. Even FIFPro came out in his support. All the teams that are opposing him in the World Cup came out and supported him. So there's a lot that has to be balanced here.
Okay, so let's just leave that topic. He's now in the final, so looking at that, obviously a massive, massive boost for Peru. Can you see them going deep into this competition?
I don't know about deep, but deeper with him. I think that this is...
They can surprise, though, Phil.
This is a tough group, though. I mean, you even take a look at Australia, what they were able to do today. I don't think you can really throw anything away, but I think they could get out of the group without him. With him, I think Argentina could be in trouble in the second round because they've only won 2 of the last 6 meetings against Peru. Neither one of those did Guerrero play. So I think it's a very level playing field, and I think Peru might just have the impetus against...
Peru's going to beat Argentina. Peru's going to beat Argentina.
Better than Chile, 2 points behind Argentina, 1 point behind Colombia, and without him, by the way, 4 wins, 3 draws. So, you know what? Quave and Farfan are doing just fine without Guerrero.
And now even better with him, perhaps.
I'm not so sure about that.
That's your international connection.
Double second. You're right.
Brought to you by
Need a cup of tea.
Especial. That's it from us. Cheers. Thank you very much. It's been a great show.
Mata. Give me some mata.
This segment was brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.